Hello, everybody.
What's up?
So my name's Cory Bretz, and I'm a videographer, a storyteller, a social media director, and basically a troublemaker. And you know, in 1992, I was 29 years old, and my buddy and I drove our cars down this long, bumpy road to this camp. And we could smell a fire burning off in the distance. You know, it was freshly cut wood. It was you could hear the crackling of the fire, and we could smell sage. And if you listen very carefully, you could hear the drums. There was men out there, and I have to confess, I was terrified. I was terrified. Anybody relate to that? Anybody? Yeah. Being out in the woods with a bunch of men scared the shit out of me. You can delete that too. And you know why? You know why it scared me? Because at 29 years old, if you'd asked me, are you a boy or are you a man? Guess what I would have answered? Yes, you do. I would have said I'm a boy. 29 years old. I had a responsible job. I was in a relationship with, people, making money. I had my own place. And yet, you put me up against another guy, and I felt less than. I felt smaller than. I felt like a boy. And I remember as the night progressed on at this event, I found myself standing in the middle of a circle with 30 men. 30 men I had never met before. And each of these men took a moment and shared who they were. They shared a feeling. It was either sadness, or it was gladness, or it was anger, or rage, or fear. A lot of them expressed shame. And you know what? These men I met 15, 20 minutes, half an hour earlier who were strangers, I would trust with my life after those men shared who they really were. You know what they had done? They had put down their shield. They had put down their sword. And they risked. They risked to show up and be real. And so the question is, what does it mean? What does it mean to be a man in 2016? I think it means you've got to show up. You got to be you. I was sitting in a pub the other night, and I think one of you was here with me, and he says, "Are you one of those mythopoetic guys?" Well, you know, for those of you, and I think you young man in the back will recognize this book, eh? I have not been to a men's circle in the last 20 years without this book, because one of the men in that circle 20 years ago pulled it out of his bag. It's called The Rag and Bone Shop of the Heart. It's poems for men, written by Robert Bly, James Hillman, and Michael Mead. Have I dropped enough names yet? Yeah, okay, Tristan's nodding his head. That's good, right? And he pulled this book out. And I thought, oh God, it's the Bible. It wasn't. But what he had done was he had set me up because he asked me a question that had spun me off on this little journey. I was in my head, I was in my heart, I was 1,000 miles away. And the question was, who are you? Who are you? And then he proceeded to read this poem by William Stafford. And like all elders, he had spectacles. He said, if you were exchanged in the cradle and your real mother died without ever telling the story, then no one knows your name. And somewhere in the world, your father is lost and needs you. But you are far away. You can never find how true you are, how ready. When the great wind comes and the robberies of the rain, You stand in the corner shivering. The people go by, and you wonder at their calm. They miss the whisper that runs any day in your mind. Who are you really, wanderer? And the answer you have to give, no matter how dark and cold the world around you is, maybe, just maybe, I'm a king. Thank you very much.